These are clear legal issues. I've actually said in commendation to the decisions of the justice that there are a lot of legal issues that I think we need to probably pick out, and then moving forward, particularly political parties and then politicians, to pay attention to, probably preparing for another election. And this is one of those issues. What exactly will constitute the disqualifications with respect to a candidate to election to the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? They are extant in the Constitution. And then the Constitution is clear that no instrument, no act, or any memorandum or any instrument at all that will add or take away the provisions of the Constitution with respect to qualification and disqualification. Okay. So when it's with respect to disqualification, the assertion that dual citizenship and the order of some criminal infraction, or if you like, the judgment of a court in the United States with respect to forfeiture. Now, that's akin to some of the provisions in the disqualification section of the Constitution. But what's important here is what the court interpreted with respect to legal considerations. Now, the court didn't quite say...
We saw what the court interpreted yesterday. Yes. We want to know what the Constitution says about at least dual citizenship for someone who is contesting to be the president of Nigeria, and also when it comes to having a dent with regard to forfeiture, forfeiture of any kind in a drug-related issue.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with respect to the requirements for qualification, requires that you should be a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by birth, or that of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by birth. So you can be, and then it's important to say that under, I think, Chapter 3 of the Constitution, which deals with citizenship of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there are 3 categories of being a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, either by birth or by registration or by naturalization. So both registration and naturalization are citizenship status, not naturally being by birth.
Yeah.
Now, for the first category of being by birth, which is that the Constitution requires for qualification to be a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, specifically by birth for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, president, I mean. So that would mean that that candidate should be. But whether the candidate has another citizenship, the Constitution is to the effect that if you have renounced your citizenship other than that of birth, meaning that that of birth cannot be renounced in any way. When it says other than the citizenship by birth, meaning that it's either citizenship by naturalization or registration. Yeah. So if you renounce that citizenship, right, and take a citizenship of another country at a time, then you shouldn't be qualified. I don't know whether this is clear to anyone who's listening.
It is very,
First, you need to understand, when this was read, I have had the opportunity to explain this too.
Please.
When you go to the citizenship question, you'll find out that there are 3 categories so that you don't mix them up.
Okay.
And then you also will now go to what the Constitution requires with respect to citizenship, particularly the disqualification if you hold another citizenship. If
you're running for office, yes.
So it is not that of citizenship by birth, but it relates to citizenship by naturalization or by registration, which is citizenship other than by birth. Now, these are critical issues. But I think what appeared to be a bit of a technical leaning by the decisions of yesterday was that these were issues that were introduced as fresh issues as the proceedings were going on. So that at the beginning, in their pleadings, in the petition, they did not raise this issue.
Okay,
and I cannot raise an issue midway. We don't ambush parties.
We are not here to speak for Atiku or
for what
him and his lawyers can take care of that.
Yes.
What concerns us as citizens of Nigeria?
Yes.
Dual citizenship not by birth.
Yeah.
You said that that person will have to renounce it, right? According to the Constitution. Good. That wasn't done. Number 2, Justice Ugo is saying that it's a fresh area for them in this, that it's not. But the question is, did they even try to say this is not? Yes, maybe Atiku submitted this along the line and all of that. But what we are saying is, can you look at us in the face and tell us what the Constitution says about who should? Because Atiku said that Tinubu knew that this was against the constitutional provision for the office he's running, yet he did not renounce his Guinean citizenship. He had it and went on to contest for the citizenship, the president of Nigeria. And that is the body of their argument, that it's not even about when they, but they are bringing to their knowledge that, hey, this man knew full well that he shouldn't do this, and he consciously broke the law by doing this. Then the justices did not even address it. He just told us that it's a fresh issue. It's not, but we want to know, maybe if you want to discard it as a fresh issue, but what is the provision of the law? Because that's what we're looking at. Then you told us that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. And we are the common people, and we are looking at, we want to know, what did the Constitution say? And then you just said it's a fresh issue and it was introduced. How does that affect us as a people, other than knowing what the truth is?
Well, maybe just to the particular reference to the section that deals with that disqualification,
please, yes,
section
please.
137 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because it deals with disqualification. I've said that there are provisions for qualification.
Yes.
And then when you go for the provisions for qualification, there are just about 4 fundamental requirements for qualification to the office of the president. That you have to be a citizen of Nigeria by birth. That's section 131 of the Constitution. He has to attain the age of 40 years. Then he has to be a member of a political party and is sponsored by that political party. And then he has to be educated up to school certificates. And this is one point that Nigerians also need to understand, that the interpretation section of the Constitution has explained what education up to at least school certificate level means, so that we didn't need to go into that. It's much more than the first school living that people would think. That a whole lot of the interpretation is there. So having considered these provisions for qualification, the Constitution went further at 137 and said, if a person, right, for disqualification, that a person shall not be qualified for election to the office of president if subject to the provisions of section 28 of this Constitution, he has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of the country other than Nigeria. That's another country, another citizenship. Or except in such cases as may be prescribed by the National Assembly, he has made a declaration of allegiance to such other country. Now, that cannot be read in isolation without going to section 28 of the Constitution, because they're subject to that. That is where I said chapter 3 deals with citizenship and gives us the categories of citizenship, where citizenship by birth is dealt with section 25 of the Constitution. And then the one that I said is by registration is dealt under section 26. So you now go down to the one that deals with naturalization under 27. So the 28 they are referring to, which deals with dual citizenship, is to the effect that subject to the other provisions of this section, a person shall forfeit forthwith his Nigerian citizenship if not being a citizenship by birth. That's what makes it different. If that person is a citizenship by birth, then it really doesn't apply. But if it's a citizen by naturalization or registration, then this section will affect him. So I don't want to make specific reference to who is president now, but general analysis is that if Mr. A is a citizen of Nigeria by birth already, that takes him away from this disqualification. Because this disqualification is referring to the provision of section 28, so, which is to the effect that the person not being a citizen of Nigeria by birth, if he acquires or retains the citizenship or nationality of a country other than Nigeria, of which he is not a citizen by birth.
Good.
Meaning that another clause there is that if this person is a citizen by birth in that other country, you can't also challenge his dual citizenship in that regard. Let's say our children who are citizens of Nigeria, by the explanation, because by birth is extended, even when you're one of your parents is, but he's also born elsewhere, you can't hold him liable of this dual citizenship for disqualification to run elections, even if he takes up the citizenship of that other country.
Good. So now we have a president who allegedly...
Who was not born in that other country?
Who allegedly was not born, because we don't know. We don't know if he were...
No, he's a citizen of Nigeria by birth. But that other country, I don't know what country was referred to.
Do you have any evidence that he's a citizen of Nigeria by birth? How do you know that?
I'm not sure anybody's questioning. I'm not sure anybody's questioning.
Your parents told you the hospital where you were born.
No, I'm not sure anybody has raised the question.
You know the community where you were born? You know where you were born. I know where I was born. Everybody knows where. We've not even had that conversation with him, so we don't know exactly. So it's alleged that he has a dual citizen. So in this case now, what would he have caused the learned Silk Justice Ugo, to say, hey, okay, this is what the Constitution says. However, we are not going to, I'm not trying to tell them what to do, because Nigerians are looking for answers. When they say all eyes on the judiciary, it was taken out of context. It was because their hopes was laced on whatever comes out of that place. So they needed answer. They were looking at them to like idols who knows the law, who should come out to tell us what it should be. So now, when they brought this matter to say this man knew that ABCD was the case, and yet he contested the election, we were hoping to get, oh, this is what it should be. However, we cannot use that as a yardstick because it was brought in during this. Would it have cost them anything to do that? Is there anything in law that says they shouldn't dabble into that? I know we don't know some of these laws.
And again, the responsibility of a judge is invited in any matter to determine what is before the court. The court will not go on a frolic of his own, right, on a voyage of discovery.
But what if it's something that has to do with the Constitution, and these are the custodians of the law?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So that's why the issue that was raised by the petitioner with regards to the dual citizenship of the respondent is to the effect that the respondent has dual citizenship, to the effect that should disqualify him from contesting the election. But what I have sought to explain here by reference to Section 28 of the Constitution, that should only be a situation where that individual is not a citizen of Nigeria by birth. It is only when he's not a citizen of Nigeria by birth.
But we don't have any way of knowing if this president of Nigeria
that petitioner should have established that this individual, in the first instance, isn't a citizen by birth. The citizenship he's holding of Nigeria is either by naturalization or registration. And having taken up a citizenship of another country that is not a country of his birth, then he should have forfeited the citizenship of Nigeria either by naturalization or registration. That is when he will not be qualified.
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I said earlier that this is not even about Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who's
that's why I
president.
keep saying the citizen.
It's more like saying what is the status quo, what is in the law, what does the Constitution say.
And that's what the law is.
But thank you for explaining the parts we didn't get from the tribunal yesterday.